Yeah, so we do have the system now, so you have to watch your profanity there.
And we can say hi to everybody online.
I didn't even notice I hit up there, we got there the last meeting.
Yeah, we need to go in
I,
live.
I must have stayed focused.
So we're ready, Andrew? Okay, ready? Jason? Yep, so we call this meeting to order for January 9th, 2025. We do have Jeff Godke and the Mayor Starr, and then also our RPC representative Daryl. And you guys want to come up to the table and share with us about the area development foundations comprehensive plan, right?
Before they get started, I need to add one item at the end of brief executive session today to consider compensation and employment of a public official.
Okay. So that will be added to our agenda. It'll be item number 2 in essence then, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
not area development.
well, it has that
Your
here.
plan, yeah.
Yeah.
To start, the live stream was great. I watched it from your Tuesday session. It was really helpful.
We'll delete that from your page.
I'll start making that part of my my regular routine. Tuesday mornings, I always watch the capture recordings.
I needed a campaign promise.
No, it's great. Yeah, good job. And Jason, I was gonna ask if you made Trenda Barry stand out on the steps with like a first day of school sign.
That would have been good, yeah.
I told Jeff I
Yeah.
made the gorilla leave.
Hopefully Bill didn't like slam you in your locker or something.
Not yet.
He was not agree on your first day. Anyway, thanks for the invite. Basically, what we want to do today is discuss your preference on the review and approval timeline for the commissioners' process of the comprehensive plan. So what I did is prepared a little note and then a timeline chart that kind of outlines all 3 organizations and a recommended timeline, order of operations, as well as some dates. The dates are flexible, but what we've got in terms of what meetings happen when are, there's a little bit in the revised code that's required of these things to happen, and then the rest is all based on past practice, what's happened in the previous plan adoption process. So what's in here is basically what we talked about at the last steering committee meeting, and Trenda, I know you were there, and I think Barry was there too, and Jason was there. So I just took my notes, put it into a timeline, and then ran it past the planners and then Matt and Daryl, and this is what we want to talk about today. The city has already gone through their process and came up with what they're gonna do. Same with regional planning. So that's reflected in here. So we just need your feedback on how you want to approach approval.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll give you a quick overview and then we can maybe talk through the kind of options that you have within that timeline. You got it all in your packet, right?
Yes.
I have an extra copy if anybody needs one.
Okay.
Cheryl.
I only have one.
Yeah,
That's all right. I've got it.
Go ahead,
I've got it.
I can get a copy
Okay.
later.
okay. So this timeline represents, it takes about 3 months. Let's see, final approval by the last entity is in March. So that allows time for lots of input, public input, but then also deliberation by the approving government entities, regional planning, county, and the city, while still keeping it moving forward and not letting the process sit and get stale for too long, right? It includes 11 public meetings. The plan draft is on the website, went up yesterday afternoon. The web form is also live, so feedback that gets submitted by anyone through the website will be recorded and included as an appendix in the final plan draft. So all that public feedback, anything anybody has to say about it will go into the final plan, so we can all see it there.
And, oh, and then you and I talked yesterday, Andrew, if you would work with Daryl on getting that link to the county website.
Sure, we can do that.
And I think they want it in a certain way, so when the public accesses it, they're there where they can provide comment. They're not just looking at the document, but they have access to to
The actual-
provide additional comment.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure, we can do that.
I think it's already there, isn't it?
Is it the feedback form to the Together Knox website?
Yeah,
I know we do have that up, so it may
Okay.
already be up. We can double check on that.
okay, I got you.
But I'm not sure the final draft plan is. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what.
I mean, if you just link it to the website itself,
We
that,
can
that'll
definitely
do
do
it,
that.
because there's a box right on the front that says. Read the final draft.
Does it allow those who made comments to see what other comments been made?
I don't think so.
Like a rolling review, so to speak.
I don't believe so. I will check on that, though.
Because I know Rob and Danny put a 10-page letter or something together.
Hmm.
I didn't know whether that would be included in what was already been, what is being up there now.
All of his feedback was incorporated into the final
Okay.
draft. So his feedback is in there already.
Good, good.
Yeah, yeah, built into the document.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. 11 public meetings, website feedback, and then media coverage as well. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that it's available and can read it and provide feedback, both electronically or in person at these public meetings. I mentioned before, it includes the statutory requirements in the revised code, which are very minimal. Basically, it says it starts with regional planning. They certify a copy to the commissioners. The commissioners follow their process, but it doesn't say what that process is. And then the commissioners basically send their certification resolution back to regional planning, and then regional planning takes it to the recorder's office. That's all the revised code says. So what that process is pretty much up to you all.
From the planning commission's standpoint is public review, we will have 2 separate public hearings. Probably like you guys usually do, one in the afternoon or morning and then one in the evening, so that people have a chance to make it to either one of them. And then after those are done, that's when the planning commission would vote on whether to recommend it to the commissioners.
So on the township, since they meet at different times of the month, what will be their time frame that you really want them to have their total input from the 22 townships back to this entity? Because, you know, some only meet once a month, and this may have come out after they've already met. And so they would be into February before they have a chance to review it.
Yeah, adoption by the townships individually is not a requirement as far as that goes. I mean, they can if they want to. We will provide them with a copy of it and say that you could, and give them an opportunity to make comments on it. The voting on whether to recommend it would be through the planning commission, which most of the townships are members of, so they would.
I was just curious as to how that was going to work.
Right, so, yeah, at the recent township association meeting, we discussed providing a written copy to all the townships, so we're gonna do that.
Saw that in-
Working on getting it printed today. And then we'll deliver those to them, and then as far as the township's role, Daryl's right, they have no statutory role in approval. But of course, we want to give them the ability to review and comment on it, so we'll deliver them the written printed draft, and then give them a full 30 days. So that if they have already met, they'll still have time for another meeting, and they can create whatever process they want for review and comment. And I imagine that across 22 townships, they'll all have a different system. Some won't do anything at all, some will have a more robust system. We'll leave it up to them, but we'll give them a full 30 days. So you want to make sure that you don't have your final approval session until after that township 30 days.
Yeah, that's where I would want it to.
Yeah, and this reflects that.
Okay,
And Jeff, are you aware that February 20th is also a public hearing for the solar resolution? So we may have a conflict there on that day. They're both the same day.
Okay, then,
We're,
Sure.
yeah, we have the Memorial Building reserved for the 20th.
okay,
So we may need to move that to the following week.
so I'll scratch that out and then should I just work with Jason on? a different date for that?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
well, and then on that hearing though, are we thinking it's an evening meeting or just part of our session?
What we normally do, when we do public hearings, we normally have an evening, like Daryl mentioned, we normally have an evening hearing and then a daytime hearing.
On the same day?
And it's
No,
probably
two
too
different.
much for the public to try to get
Yeah.
through both things.
Yeah, so we do, no, they're not on the same day, Bill. Normally we stagger those at least. If it's not the same week, back-to-back weeks is typically, I think, how we do it, an evening meeting. Usually do the evening meeting first and then the day meeting. That following week.
And I was only saying, I thought it was too much for the public to do two different things in one day. I'm not saying we have to stagger it. I just was saying that you probably wouldn't want to be looking at RPC, looking at the Together Knox plan, and then also trying to look at that and have the public try to, unless we just want to combine it into one big party. Anyway, and Gerald, were you, with the steering committee on the land use committee? Did you make any changes? Was there any change that you needed to make to the plan?
No.
Okay.
Well, the land use committee hasn't looked at it
I
yet.
haven't looked at it yet.
Oh, I
That,
see.
that will be next Tuesday evening.
Next Tuesday, all right.
Yeah.
I saw the 8th, so I thought maybe you had already looked at it, but it was published then. You're looking at it the following week?
Yeah, it'll be, the land use meeting is on
14th.
Tuesday evening, yeah.
Right, so Daryl, your process is, it'll go to land use committee on the 14th.
On the land use, and then whatever land use committee decides whether to recommend the document to the full commission. We will probably just introduce it since it will only have been 2 days between, and everybody, it's a fairly extensive document, as you know, and takes a while to get through and digest everything. We would probably just introduce it and then have our public hearings. And then on the next planning commission meeting, planning commission meeting, then is when the planning commission would vote on whether to pass it on to the commissioners.
Yeah, after your second hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, so I'm on step 5, so it would get referred to the planning commission on the 16th. All they'll do is just say, here's the draft. Let's set this calendar for the public hearings, right? Okay.
Right.
Then 2 public hearings, and then ideally at the second public hearing, the full commission would
Right.
recommend it all to you all, and then your process begins.
Well, according to your time frame here, our first hearing didn't take place until the 25th. I bet you were.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah, so the 20th was not an issue. The 25th is when our first hearing would be.
The 20th would be the public meeting.
That's
That's-
full RPC.
That's the RPC meeting.
right. Yeah, so we'll set, regional planning will set that calendar at the meeting on the 16th of when they want those hearings to be.
Mhm.
Right,
Which will
that
probably
was-
shift the whole calendar. a
That
little.
was your
Probably,
traditional,
yeah.
meeting night, right?
Right.
Like on that,
Right.
okay. That would make sense. That's why.
Is that solar hearing in the evening?
6 o'clock.
So it'll probably overlap with regional planning.
Yeah.
Well, it would be, should be done before that, for you guys.
That meeting's gonna be in the Memorial Building?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so, and that's at 6 or 6:30?
6.
6. And the planning commission meeting doesn't start till 7:30, so. There'll be people in the area if they wanna attend both, I guess.
True, yeah, one night out.
Okay, so
The issue being with that though is we don't know how many people will show up for that event.
Right.
It may run longer than an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean,
That's what I
that
was
thing
thinking
could,
too.
if you give everybody 3 minutes to speak and depending on how many people show up,
right.
that could be, who knows? Not one of those late nights.
Probably best to. Let me schedule that maybe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so then you're right, that would shift everything else down. So one thing, so here are some things for your consideration. The first one is number 6. So because you've got 3 different entities that are all reviewing this, we thought it would be helpful if there was a joint commissioners, city council, regional planning commission. The planners will come, so we'll invite the steering committee, and the planners can review the draft plan so that everybody kind of understands what's in it. And then there could be some discussion among the 3 groups, some initial discussion among the 3 groups about it. We thought that would be some kind of good, like, level setting.
Work session.
Work session, right, right. So-
Working together.
That's right, coming together, Knox County.
Mhm.
Oh, it's almost like,
Name.
we put that in the name, right, that's right.
What were you thinking location wise, if you had that big of a body, because if you have all the RPC members there, right? Or is it just the executive board for the RPC?
Yeah, probably. It wouldn't necessarily have to be the full body, no.
We'd have to get a place,
Yeah.
we need a decent sized room for that.
One that doesn't have a bunch of echoes going on around it.
Right.
You use the theater there. Theater.
Yeah, use the Memorial Building Theater, or it's a little bit, other floors are a little echoey. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The gathering
Well,
place. I
yes,
think it's
echoey.
pretty-
And your place is probably big enough.
Council chambers?
Yeah.
Oh, no, no.
Yeah, we'll have to get a space, so we'll find a space that's conducive to collaboration and presentations. Yeah. So that's, you like that idea?
Well, I
Keep
think
that in there?
I do, yeah.
Okay,
I think the big thing, if I look back at this, one of the cries or comments I always heard was people knowing that there's a public hearing on the thing,
Mhm.
so we need to make sure that that gets out there in every way, shape and form that we can, so we don't get any backlash of I wasn't familiar with it.
right,
That being said, no matter how we push it, people are gonna say they didn't know about it.
right,
But we need to make sure that all bases are covered as far as the communication goes on the public hearing.
Right.
That way, some of the waves are knocked out of the water. before
Right.
We get started.
so because of who will be there, it will be a public meeting, so it will
Right.
have to be properly noticed.
Right,
Cheryl's sitting right here, so she's taking great notes. I'm sure there'll be the Knox pages as well. I have an email teed up to the Mount Vernon News. I was waiting on your feedback on all of this so that they are aware of the process as well.
Mhm.
Good point. So then the other thing to question,
Before you go on though.
Yeah.
Does, with the city council,
Mhm.
do they have certain parameters as to when they, typically wanna meet? Special meetings and stuff like that?
Well, at this point, we're not planning on, I mean, I can't speak for council, but where we are at this particular point from what Amber has shared, she's part of the steering committee too. We'll give it 3 readings, so we meet twice a month, not twice a week, so it's gonna take us a little bit longer. We
Mhm.
did wanna make sure that we timed things up so that if the county had any changes, we weren't approving anything until the county had their changes done. Our Mount Vernon growth plan is looks pretty solid, so we're very happy with that. So if there's just anything else in the county or regional planning, then we're flexible.
May I suggest that when we do the public meetings, that our local officials actually share, not just the people coming in to help make the plan. But I think it's great for them to hear from you and explain the vision, and they hear the vision from, that would be the only thing I would say to the other meeting that was at the Woodward. I think people would have appreciated hearing from you, from, local officials, Bill, whoever, Carol, so that they understand and see us working together, but also they see and hear the vision for our county, because nobody has a vision for our county like our county. It's nice to bring in someone to give us their planning ideas and understanding, but really hearing your vision and, why, what, and what we see happening. I think it's great to do that. I think it's helpful.
I'd be very happy to.
That
Great.
could be good for the work session.
Yeah, the public hearings, will that be a question and answer forum or just us giving out
That's-
information?
That's entirely up to you and whatever your rules say about how you handle public hearings. And I know at least with the city, there's a difference between a public meeting and a public hearing, one that has some statutory rules to it, one doesn't. So you want to clarify which one it is that you're having and then which of your rules apply to that.
Does the statute you're talking about say hearing, though, public hearing?
No.
Or public meeting?
It doesn't say anything about,
Okay.
about that.
Okay.
So I would look at maybe what you did in 2018 for the prior draft and adopt that. I'll send you the revised code sections about it as well. I talked to Chip about this already, so he's always a good resource too.
And I know that there was a list of values that our citizens said that were important to them that were put into kind of a synopsis of certain, this is what we value the rural land, we value.
Mhm.
Could we see some of those surveys? Because I think it'd be great to, as leaders, see those surveys and be able to see the comments that are more specific. Those were put into big, broad overarching concepts, but I would love to be able to look at our actual constituents, their surveys, what they said, how they worded it, what they said was important, even the ideas that came out of those,
Mhm.
because there were specific ideas in some of those too.
Mhm.
I did meet our commissioner meeting and they started sharing with me, raising hands, saying things. I would love to be able to just read those, and I think those are great for quoting
Mhm.
when we start sharing this.
Mhm.
The more we can make this vision, our, not just a vision, you know, that it is from our people, we're quoting, we're listening,
Mhm.
we're valuing everyone's opinion. I think that's helpful.
I believe when this is done, all of that comes over to us.
I say it gets translated over.
Because yeah, it would be in the website
Right.
stored now.
But even in the process of deciding things, I think it would be helpful, or sharing the vision, casting vision would be really helpful too.
You probably will see all that, won't you, Jeff, when you send the revised plan over for comments and ideas and.
Yeah, I'll ask them to make all of that
Yeah.
available to
That'd be
us.
great, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Okay.
As a commissioner, I think that's helpful to us too,
Sure.
to really see and hear and get quotes from them. They're gonna be more specific than the overarching plan and the values, was it like 10 values that we have
Mhm.
for the community?
Mhm.
Those values were wordsmithed in a broader sense, and I understand why.
Mhm.
But it would be great also to hear specific, and I think we would get good ideas, because the people closest to the issues are usually the ones that can see the answers. Much
Sure.
better than politicians.
Great. Okay, so then the other thing I could use your feedback on is number 9. I think we're all kind of on the fence about this one. So we had that southwestern portion of the county meeting in a month ago or so. Yeah, Barry, you were there. There was some discussion about, once this draft is done, do we want to have regional meetings around the county to present it? Similar to the way, the Centerburg was a little more of a work session.
Work session, yeah.
Providing feedback for the draft, but is there a desire to have regional meetings around the county to present the draft? That would be in addition to the townships doing their thing, regional planning, city website, media coverage, all of that. Something else to consider is that's not part of the planner's engagement. So any of those meetings would have to be done by us locally. So that's extra.
Had you thought about, when you say regional, how many regions we talking and look possible locations hasn't been.
This is as far as we've gotten on that.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that even when we have other type hearings, finding a location that people willing to go to,
Mhm.
and, who's hosting that. I know that you guys would be able to present all that information on that night without that, because I trust in your competence and the information that you would share. You know, you already did the Centerburg area and as a work session.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think, so you Fredericktown.
If you just cut the county in force. I
If you
think-
center it around the villages,
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
could have it at the village
Yeah,
halls or.
like I say, if you just do it in
School
force,
cafeteria.
you cover
Yeah.
everybody pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you really want to know is whether we were good with that idea and then you guys start putting the flesh on it.
That's right. That's right.
I like that idea, I think.
Okay, we'll get cracking on that.
And I don't know how expensive it is, but we may also want to look at the cost of mailing, to constituents. I know, I mentioned that before, I've seen that done, and, it was well done. I don't know how costly it is, and maybe the regional meetings would take care of that, just doing the local area meetings, and maybe putting out something in advance for them to look at, see something that, or we mail to that regional area and let them know about the meeting itself. The more people know, the more we involve them, I think the more the buy-in, I think the more success we have long range. That's good.
Who does the mailing? Who handles the mailing? Who would know what that could cost?
Sarah Lynn.
It's about a buck a piece, buck a household.
And the further you do it out, you can do it at a lot
Smaller
less
household.
cost.
So how many households is that? Because you're talking.
There's 26,000 housing units. in the county.
Yeah, I think there, I mean, I agree with the mail, but I think there's probably an easier, less expensive wise way to get the word out there if we do it right. If we're gonna do it in quadrants of 4. Somebody in that region needs to be responsible
Mhm.
for making sure their constituents show up instead of doing a $20,000 mailing piece.
Sure, it can be done with the email.
Right, yeah. I think if we just plan right, and if we're actually gonna do, 4 segment quadrant, a region. Somebody in that region needs to take charge of, whether it be your regional planning person or people for that quadrant, because there'd be multiples in those quadrants for regional planning.
Right.
I think you start holding them accountable for the things that are happening in their area and go that route instead of maybe spending $20,000 on
Yeah.
a mailer. And not to be that guy, but most of that stuff I look at.
Trust.
and I mean, I
And
see,
email's free.
cause it's usually a siding or something, then I start associating
Mm.
sliding windows.
How do you reach out to
Yeah.
your members?
Most of our correspondence is through email.
Right.
But it's basically to the townships and villages and.
Yeah, everybody that is a member, they have their 3 trustees and fiscal officer, and
Yeah, you
some
have-
of them are zoning inspectors, so whoever is actually representing the township.
Each township has an RPC representative.
Right.
So I would break that down into regions and make your RPC.
Representatives
Representative be
responsible.
responsible for making sure.
Right.
That way, not to be the blame guy, but you pitch the responsibility to those who should be involved in the process.
Mhm.
And they-
Ask them to share it in email, ask them to post it in
Meetings,
coffee shops, wherever they
Social
are.
media.
Get
Yeah,
as many
social
people there as they
media, their
can.
meetings, I mean,
I like that very.
Okey doke, can do. And then, so we'll get going on that. And then so then with your process, we talked about that, you'll have two public meetings, hearings, whichever they are. One in the evening, usually the first one is in the evening and the second one is during the day,
Correct.
that's
Correct.
the usual method. So then how you wanna frame those is up to you all, you'll run those. The other thing to get your feedback on is the only required entities for approval is RPC and you, and then the city because they joined on. So but we shouldn't stop there, right? We want broad appeal across the county. So then it's recommended that we go to other community groups, community organizations from different sectors, the business sector, conservation and agriculture, education, governments, et cetera, et cetera. And then get them, they don't have to adopt it. We want to use the term endorse. We want to get them to endorse it. So sometimes that happens before commissioner approval, sometimes it happens after.
I would go before,
Well, so here, I kind of know how these conversations are gonna go.
really.
They're gonna say, what do the commissioners, they're gonna wanna follow your lead.
So they will be aware in advance, correct, of what's going on?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
as long as they're aware in advance, I don't see the issue of,
Right.
you know, oh, we approved it, by the way,
Right.
this is approved.
For example, yesterday we had the Knox County Transportation Advisory Council met. And I mentioned this is coming and it's just, they may want to endorse the plan. Once it runs the route of going to the commissioners, our regional planning, the commissioners in the city. And they realize the value of the endorsement for grants.
Sure,
So they're gonna be paying very close attention. And they will be one that will likely be on the endorsement trail too.
Yeah, but they'll wanna take your lead. They're gonna ask, how do the commissioners feel about
Got
this?
it.
So I think we wanna have your stamp of approval on it before we go to them. Let's just kind
I
of.
like hearing their feedback though as well. Maybe we can get that a different way, but as commissioners, I'm thinking, I want to hear their feedback. They probably want our thoughts too. I don't know how to collaborate on that, but as a commissioner, I want to hear what they have to say since I represent them, right?
Sure.
So
Well,
I-
they have that opportunity to,
Yes,
through the
exactly.
process already.
well, and if I look at this, Jeff, it looks like really the only ones that aren't involved would be your local schools who aren't already aware of this, looking at your list.
Uh-huh,
I mean, I'm sure your local governments are already aware.
right.
I
Yes,
mean, you have them listed there.
Right, yeah.
And then if you look at, you know, Philander, Chase, and Owl Creek and Knox County Farm Bureau,
They'll be aware.
they'll be aware.
Right.
So I think really the only ones that you're trying to reach out to would be the city schools or local schools.
Yeah, and they're aware of it too, because we did some of those meetings in
Well, some
August.
of them are on the steering committee.
And some of
as
them
well.
are on the steering committee,
So-
right. So we, through our network, we have contact with all
Sure.
these people, we can send them notice that the plan's up,
Yeah.
please review it.
Yeah, I just say, as long as there's an awareness
Yeah.
factor out
Okay.
there, I.
And you'll be making your touch from the YMCA, the faith groups, the land bank, public library, all these people, the local organizations that are service clubs and that type of thing. Will that be coming from the Together Knox Group, or Area Development Foundation, or are we, or is that our responsibility?
It's everybody's responsibility, I think, at that point. So if you're on a board, if you're part of a group, if you have access to things, make them aware of it, and if they're interested in hearing about it, then we'll go and do a presentation for them. But that community group is just education at that point, and that can happen for years, you know, however long people want to hear about it, we'll go tell them about it.
And are you comfortable with us go ahead and forwarding the plan that we received to those organizations to get their look at it at this point?
Sure, yeah, the draft is public.
I'm
You
just saying it's
want to hear
public.
about it.
It's
It's
public.
public, then
Yeah.
it's fine for us to go ahead.
Of course, yeah,
Be
definitely.
liberal as you want, with sending it out, please.
Super.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the other thing I just thought of, I think we talked about it, but we were also going to, I think, get it on the chamber newsletter.
Sure.
So that goes out to several businesses.
Yeah. come on.
I mean, yeah, they have 400 members, right?
Great.
Okay, so other than changing some dates around, the order of operations, the steps are good with you all?
Good to go.
Looks
Okay.
great.
Okay, and then I'll coordinate with Jason on the dates and how you want to handle your public meeting things.
We'll look at the calendar and see what some of those other dates go.
Okay,
Well, thank you, so.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
your
Mayor.
input.
Thank you,
Jeff.
Daryl. Thank you, Jeff.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a great day.
You too.
Thank
Go
you.
try and get those walks shoveled.
The school says pretty icy out.
This is just on the front page of the main.
Thanks,
website.
yeah.
Thank you.
So
Mayor,
this will
thank
just
you.
take them
Thank
to
you.
the Draft plan here. This will just take them to the comments and questions form. I don't know if there's someone else who will take them to, but
I don't think, I think that's.
pretty much what we wanted.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Law,
Good.
how's
Yeah.
law?
Yeah, I think we should be good.
Busy as usual.
More or less calls from the holidays.
More, of certain types typically, so. Yeah. Yeah, but that was one thing too. I know you guys have been busy with your first weeks and stuff in here, but we'd love to have you come down and see the 911 center.
We're going
Every
to,
day.
Oh.
Yeah, we just did one time.
I've been seeing you in multiples lately.
In multiple.
Yeah, like see you here, see you somewhere. Yeah.
Here, there, and everywhere. Yes. busy.
Duplicity.
Mhm. Yes. So for our December stats, with 3,408 CAD calls, and what those are calls for service where we actually send a response, whether it be law, fire, or EMS. Not all calls that come to the center, of course, require a response, so that's why you'll see when you see how many 911 calls and non-emergency calls we had, it's more than how many calls for service we actually had, because it may not have required a response, so, yeah. If you look on the chart that shows by the month and then the year, so the totals for the year,
You even been off copies this time. I saw it on there, but I assumed you were gonna put them on.
thought I was.
Yes, you just put them in the,
Okay,
in your
that's
packet,
good.
in your electronic packet.
Okay, so we are up by a couple thousand for the total calls for service
Or
Um,
anywhere. Or are you talking about?
for 24.
Okay,
Yeah, for
yes.
24, sorry about that. Up a couple thousand there, and then the 911 and the non-emergency calls, those actually were down a little bit, so more of them must have required a response than the last time, but so you never know. You'll see on there where we have the peak 911 day for the month and the peak non-emergency day for the month. It happens to be Tuesday for both for December. It varies when you look on this chart, you're gonna
Yeah.
see we've got different ones. Same with the times. They're usually within hours of each other, but those times can be different.
Looks like 5 and 6 PM are pretty popular. huh?
Yes, people getting off of work and maybe going to dinner and whatever all they may be doing, but so yes, evening time definitely is typically busier than other times of the day. Do you guys have any questions on that as far as numbers?
Just curious, disturbance, that's the highest, what would that all include?
A disturbance could be anything from neighbors in a verbal argument to maybe people in the same house that are just having some kind of disturbance, disagreement or whatever, but it's not necessarily a domestic. So a domestic typically will include physical assault, so yeah, so disturbance, it's got kind of a wide range to it.
Okay, that's why it's the largest.
Yes,
More squabbles than domestic violence.
yes.
So would that include dogs barking in the neighborhood types? of
No, we have a
No
code
loud
for that.
sounds or?
We have codes for that, those,
Okay.
but those are separate. And these ones I have down here, these are just kind of most ones we look at. We of course have a whole list of different codes and signals we use for calls, but one thing too, that was good is our actual suicides were down from last year by 3. So that definitely was good to see. And then I think, but yeah, the mental health calls were up a little bit, so kind of back and forth there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the mental health goes when we have the building built and
Mhm.
we have the portable unit going around and to
Yes,
see whether, of course, with the portable unit. Of course, those wouldn't be documented by you guys, it'd be by BHP, so,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm hoping that those go down.
Yes, let's hope that we see a downward trend in that one for there, but, any other questions on?
How's your
numbers?
staffing? You good?
Good, we were gonna talk about that, yes. Getting ahead of me, Barry.
Sorry.
We have 3 new trainees and they're all doing well for where they are in the training process. We have 1 more starting at the end of January and that will bring us to our total of 20,
Good.
which is full for us as far as full timers go. Also just to explain to you guys, the training process there. Anywhere from 4 to 6 months, some people a little longer, just depends on the person, how they learn and how they take to it, so. They are on probation for a year, they have a 1-year probation down in our center, so. But, and it is all on the job, there are some classes they will take and certifications they're required to have. Which we do all of those in-house actually, but, it's a pretty intense training process, so a lot to learn,
And it needs to be, because
yes.
the stress level, I know you've
Yeah.
said over in the past years that you cannot unhear stuff.
No, you can't. That's why you need,
And that is the
Hobbies.
unionized workforce down there, that's FOP union, and we finished negotiations at the end of last year, so
Mm-hmm.
this is the beginning of a new 3-year labor contract for them.
yes. Yes, and we did just finish our shift bids, they bid on their shifts every year, by contract, it goes by seniority. So we just finished that shift bid up and those take effect March 1st, we always do them in January and then that gives us time to get that new schedule created and all of that, so. March 1st, we had a little bit of movement, not a whole lot of difference, but someone did get to go to day shift finally, so they were excited and. You know, as we have people leave and retire and that, then those spots open up, so. Day shift typically is the favorite one, but hardest to
Do
get
you
on.
see much turnover in there, Laura?
Mm,
Do you?
yeah,
I figured as much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly more so in the last few years than what we've seen
yes,
before.
yeah. It's, and it's that way nationwide, unfortunately, but it's just, it's a lot in there, so.
Strong mind.
Yeah. So I say you need hobbies outside of there and stress relievers,
Yeah.
yes.
And then was it last year, that you did a different scheduling program for a little while?
Yes, there was an alternate, which most of them are hoping to get to go back to.
I was wondering.
Yeah,
Okay.
they worked 2 12s and 2 8s and had 3 days in a row off.
Nice.
Yeah, most important thing, it seems to people, is having that time off. And in this kind of job, they especially need that to get away and decompress, but.
Yeah.
Right, it takes 3 days just to sort of let down
Mhm,
sometimes, right?
Sometimes, yeah,
And we think with getting the staffing to 20, we can
easily, yes,
potentially
it
offer
will,
that back, but.
that schedule will comfortably run.
Make a little more life, less work
Mhm.
scenario. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. I could see that.
Yeah, a little
What
more,
is your longest average employees, how long they'll stay in the position, retainment?
I've been here 29 and a half years, I think, but I spent 20 years in there.
So you're the best example of how you manage this.
We just had
highly
one
intense-
retire also, last year, and Donna had 31 years in,
Oh,
so-
Wonderful.
so yes, but, most of our staff now is under 10 years. In fact, under 5. So we've got some of those 5 to 10, some above the 10, and a lot of them below the 5. Because, and again, like I said, it's just a job. Definitely not the same as when I started and when Donna had started. There's way more technology, so there's so much more to learn in that part too. So, you know, we kind of got to learn that as we went, and that was introduced in. So we didn't have it all at once. Maybe that's why we're still here and have stayed so long. Where everyone else, you know, it's thrown in, and it's busier and different crimes and all of that, so different world,
And you handle the whole county, it's not just
yes.
unincorporated, it's the city of Mount Vernon and all the
Everything.
villages and. So
We
you
do-
the whole bag.
Law, fire and EMS, for all the villages, city of Mount Vernon, the county, of course. Animal control, probation and parole for both the city and the county. That I could go on, there are numerous agencies they assist and dispatch for.
Now, do we have a system where if a fire truck is out or ambulance, that you have on the screen, the dot where this person is, like if they're traveling.
Where the truck is?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
and the cruisers. We can,
Good.
yes.
because I see that on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there.
And Uber drivers and all that.
Yeah,
So
right.
I didn't know whether we were up to that technology.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, we've had that for a while. With the officers, it's through their MDTs, those computers in the car,
Mhm.
and that's how it picks it up. With fire and EMS, we provided field ops for them, which is an app, so they can actually see their calls in there and everything the dispatcher has put in. But because of that, it does location, and so we can see where they are through there.
Good.
So, and it is great. I mean, there are times dispatch, get on there. You passed it, it's the driveway back, you know, when they're trying to find an address at times that's hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
find, so.
That's good.
And as you can imagine, with all that technology, it's very expensive to run a
Yes.
dispatch center, so we don't bill back any townships or villages or cities. It's all funded
By us.
through 1/4% of the county sales tax that comes in, goes to fund 911. And that's voted on every 5 years by the voters
Great,
to renew that, and that was renewed just last
Just
year.
last year, yeah.
Yeah.
great job, Laura.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Other than that, Nicole, you guys, I don't believe have met Nicole, but Nicole is our quality assurance and training coordinator. Quality assurance, part of her job is she goes over calls. We have a program with checks and balances in it, and she goes over randomly pulled 911 calls, although we check all cardiac arrests. To grade those basically, and those aren't for disciplinary purposes, those are more for learning or, hey, you could have done this, right, more for training, and us just making sure they're up to par and doing it how they should. And then she also does our training program. She is not the trainer, but she takes care of our training program. Our dispatchers in the center train the other people. But Nicole and I, we're preparing for our 911 state audit, which will be on site this year, January 28th. So the state requires an audit each year. We have to pull call numbers for them. We have to have training records, make sure all the required certifications and continuing education and everything is there. So they will be in for that. The state started doing that. Let's see, it's since 6 or 7 years ago, I think.
So you prepared?
Yes. Yes, yes, they're not too terrible. Just it's time to put it together is the thing, but they're not too
Yeah.
terrible to do. Yeah. So that's all I have.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day.
Nice job, Laura.
Yes, I'll see you guys a little later
Yeah,
then,
Yeah.
this afternoon maybe. or-
11:30 maybe.
Much later this morning. Maybe late.
Nice job, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy. I'm sure you guys have had a lot.
Yeah, we.
Hi, how are you? Good.
Good morning.
Judge,
Judge.
how are you?
Yeah.
Just stopped in to watch you work.
Wow.
Come in and watch me work. I thought I'd come in and watch
Hey,
you.
you can join us.
I just want to say hello and welcome and happy new year.
Yeah,
Thank
you
Happy
too,
New Year to
Judge.
you. Thank you for what you do as well.
Thank you. So that's all I got. Just want to say hi.
Thanks,
See
Judge.
you later.
Thank you. Have a
good
great
one.
day.
So we have just one.
Yeah, we only
resolution?
have one resolution, so, this is the county 2025 county wellness grant application, so for our new commissioner, SEPCO is our county insurance group that's made up of multiple counties around the state, and they provide us each year with a grant to do some wellness activities at the county. This year, the grant's for $16,690. That funding comes in, and then HR will manage that through various wellness activities throughout the year. So
Right.
this grant is ready to, for you to approve and for, one commissioner to sign.
Take motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that only needs one signature on that, so we're good. And, Bill, I only have one item to update for administrator updates. I contacted by the Memorial Building Board and Mount Vernon Arts Consortium. We have a lease with the Memorial Building. They manage the building for us. They reached out, they would like to initiate a project of painting the stage over there. It needs redone. So they're gonna handle the labor and the cost to do that. They're just asking your permission because the county owns the building.
Yeah.
So
Are they also going to, when I was in there the other day for elementary school program. Some of the plaster on the outside surface of the stage needed repaired and repainted. Is that part of that?
it isn't, but I can have a look at that. And see.
Yeah, cause it.
If it gets into plaster stuff, that would probably be on us to get done, because
Well, yeah,
it's
I
extensive, but I can have Todd look at that as well and see.
Yeah,
what's-
and I don't know whether that some of the damage was because of the ductwork and stuff like that.
Yeah,
We
I'm not
did.
sure. I can have Todd take a look at it.
Which
Okay.
school,
Pardon me?
which school did you say?
Well, it was Columbia School. They have their Christmas programs over there, so.
Okay.
So are you, we
Yeah.
gonna allow them to,
Yeah, so we need a motion on that then?
I don't think you do. I think
Okay.
we wanted to
Just
just
information.
information to let you know there was no issues since
Okay.
we own the building. I think other than that, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, and, Bill, do you have anything you wanted to go over for?
No, I did, we need to make sure that our EMA gets a hold of this thing, about this training. It's, the emergency response exercise, tactical pipeline response training. Then it's gonna be held up in Mansfield, I believe, but I thought,
If you want to give that to Penny, she could put it in EMA's.
and I had an email on this too, but I see a hard copy that's been sent.
Okay.
From. Yeah, and we talked about the DKMM solid waste district 5-year update plan, so that will be going out, but that's all I have, and then you talked about going in.
Yeah, we'll do a brief
Executive
executive, but
session.
Cheryl, there'll be no action taken, it's just for information purposes. And on these commissioners, when we go into executive session, you have to do a motion a second, and then I'll actually have to call the roll, and you have to verbally state yea or nay to go into.
So you wanna
executive
make
session.
that motion and then we'll second.
I'll make that motion. We go into executive session.
A second.
All right,
Jason,
Commissioner,
you say yes.
I said yes.
Yes,
Yeah, all right, good.
and so we'll be going into executive session at 8 minutes till 11. And looking that we concluded all of our business today, we will adjourn our meeting for today on Thursday. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.